Imagine it's Tuesday night. You get home from work at 6:47 p.m. You're exhausted. Not physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. The kind of tired where deciding what to cook feels like a complex engineering problem. So you pull out your phone. 20 seconds later, you're scrolling through a delivery app. A burger meal looks good. Maybe add fries. Actually, add dessert, too. The total comes to $31.84 before tip. You tap order. 40 minutes later, the food arrives. You eat. You feel better. Problem solved. Or, at least, that's what it feels like. But what if I told you that meal didn't cost $31? What if I told you it actually cost closer to $80? And what if I told you this same hidden financial leak is quietly draining thousands of dollars from your bank account every single year? Not because you're irresponsible, not because you're bad with money, but because modern convenience has become one of the most expensive products ever sold to the middle class. My name is Bobby, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people earning decent money often feel broke despite doing everything right. And today we're talking about what I call the convenience trap, a system so effective that most people never realize they're participating in it. Because unlike a luxury car or an expensive vacation, convenience doesn't feel like spending. It feels like saving. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Here's the thing. The average American has never had more access to convenience than they do right now. Food delivered in minutes, groceries delivered in hours, packages delivered the same day, laundry services, meal kits, subscription boxes, streaming platforms, ride-sharing apps, house cleaning services, dog walking apps, virtual assistants, on-demand everything. The promise sounds incredible. Spend a little money, get your time back. Who wouldn't want that? But hidden inside that promise is a question almost nobody asks. What exactly are you doing with the time you're buying? Because if you're spending money to save time, but you're not actually using that time to improve your life, then you aren't buying convenience. You're renting comfort. And comfort is surprisingly expensive. Let's start with food delivery because it's the easiest example. Picture Sarah. She's a 34-year-old marketing manager, makes decent money, works long hours, orders food delivery 3 times a week. Nothing crazy. Just enough to make life easier. Average order? About $28. After fees, taxes, and tips, closer to $40. 3 orders per week. That's $120. Over a year, more than $6,000. And that's before we compare it to cooking at home. The same meals prepared at home might cost $10 each. Meaning Sarah isn't spending $6,000 on food delivery. She's spending roughly $4,500 on convenience. $4,500 every year for the privilege of avoiding a few trips to the kitchen. Now, before you think I'm telling everyone to become a meal prepping monk, that's not the point. The point is awareness. Because the delivery app doesn't sell food. It sells relief. Relief from decision-making. Relief from effort. Relief from exhaustion. And when you're exhausted, you'll pay almost any price for relief. The companies know this. That's why food delivery usage spikes during evenings. That's why advertisements show tired workers. They're not selling burgers. They're selling escape. And once you see that, you start noticing the same pattern everywhere. Let's talk about subscriptions. Because subscriptions are where convenience becomes invisible. Imagine opening your bank statement. You see Netflix, Spotify, cloud storage, Amazon Prime, YouTube Premium, a fitness app, meditation app, news subscription, AI tools, password manager, streaming service. Number 4 that you forgot you had. Individually, they look harmless. $10, $15, $7, $12. Nobody gets emotionally upset over a $9.99 charge. That's why subscription businesses love monthly billing. A study from Zuora found subscription revenue has consistently grown faster than traditional business models because recurring payments reduce spending friction. The less you notice a purchase, the less likely you are to question it. Now, let's do the math. 20 subscriptions averaging $12 monthly. That's $240 every month, nearly $3,000 every year. 30 years? $90,000. Invested at market returns? several $100,000. And here's the crazy part. Most people don't actively use half the subscriptions they're paying for. The convenience isn't the service. The convenience is not having to think about whether you still need the service. You're paying money to avoid making decisions. And that pattern repeats throughout modern life. The grocery delivery app, the rideshare app, the automated household service. The premium version, the faster shipping option, the upgraded package, the ad-free experience. Every convenience removes a tiny amount of friction, and every removal of friction costs money. The question is whether the value exceeds the cost. Most people never calculate it. Because convenience expenses don't arrive as one giant bill, they arrive as hundreds of tiny decisions. And tiny decisions are easy to justify. Nobody says, I'm spending $15,000 a year on convenience. They say, it's only $8. Then they repeat that sentence 2,000 times. Now you might be thinking, okay, Bobby, but time is valuable. Absolutely. Time is incredibly valuable. In fact, this is where the conversation gets interesting. Because convenience isn't always bad. Sometimes it's a fantastic investment. The problem is that people confuse saving time with creating value. Let's imagine two scenarios. Person A spends $50 to save 2 hours, then uses those 2 hours watching random videos. Person B spends the same $50 to save 2 hours, then uses those 2 hours building a side business, exercising, learning a skill, or spending quality time with family. Same convenience purchase, completely different outcome. One person bought time, the other person bought wasted time. The value of convenience depends entirely on what replaces the effort. And that's where most people lose the plot. Modern convenience has convinced us that eliminating effort is always good. But effort isn't the enemy. Sometimes effort is where value comes from. Cooking teaches skills. Walking builds health. Cleaning creates appreciation for your environment. Managing your finances increases awareness. Doing things yourself isn't always inefficient. Sometimes it's productive friction. And productive friction is one of the most underrated concepts in personal finance. Think about automatic spending. The easier it becomes to spend money, the more money people spend. This isn't speculation. It's been observed repeatedly across consumer behavior research. Cash hurts. Credit cards hurt less. One-click purchases hurt even less. Automatic subscriptions barely hurt at all. The less friction involved, the less awareness involved. And awareness is often the only thing standing between you and unnecessary spending. Convenience companies understand this better than anyone. Their goal isn't simply making life easier. Their goal is making spending effortless, because every second of friction removed increases the likelihood you'll buy. The food app removes cooking friction. The streaming app removes entertainment friction. The shopping app removes purchasing friction. The subscription removes payment friction. The entire economy is increasingly designed around eliminating pauses, eliminating reflection, eliminating moments where you might stop and ask, do I actually need this? Because those moments are bad for revenue, but they're excellent for your bank account. Now let's zoom out. I want you to think about your own spending for a moment. Not the big expenses, not the mortgage, not the car, the little things, the things that feel harmless, the things you barely notice. Because that's usually where the convenience trap lives, not in the dramatic purchases, in the invisible ones, the charges so small they escape scrutiny, the habits so common they feel normal, the services so integrated into life that questioning them feels strange. That's where money disappears, quietly, patiently, month after month, year after year. And here's the good news. Escaping the convenience trap doesn't require becoming extreme. You don't need to cancel everything, delete every app, cook every meal, or live like it's 1985. You simply need awareness. Track every convenience purchase for 30 days, every fee, every delivery, every subscription, every premium service, every time you pay to avoid effort. Then ask one question. Did this purchase create value greater than its cost? Not pleasure, not comfort, value. Sometimes the answer will be yes, and that's fine. Sometimes convenience genuinely improves life. But you'll be surprised how often the answer is no. How often you're paying recurring money for temporary relief. And temporary relief is one of the most expensive products ever created. The convenience trap succeeds because it never feels like a trap. It feels like a reward, a shortcut, a solution, a small upgrade, something you've earned. But wealth isn't usually lost through one catastrophic decision. It's lost through thousands of tiny decisions that individually seem harmless. The delivery fee, the premium version, the monthly subscription, the faster option, the easier path, one after another, until convenience quietly consumes the financial margin that could have become savings, investments, freedom, or options. The goal isn't eliminating convenience. The goal is making convenience earn its place in your life. Because every dollar you spend buying convenience is a dollar that can't buy freedom later. And freedom, unlike convenience, compounds. If this video changed how you think about the little purchases that barely feel like purchases, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges how you think about money. I'll see you in the next one.